Hello, my name is Rick Gray. I'm a certified public accountant, founder and president of Global Tax Service LLC, a public accounting firm headquartered in Columbia, South Carolina. Our firm specializes in providing tax advice and tax preparation services for U.S. taxpayers living and working overseas. While we have clients who work for international conglomerates, who are non-profit organizations, and who are entrepreneurs overseas, our main focus is on educators working in educational institutions overseas. Most of our client base are from American, international, or local schools, or from the overseas campuses of U.S. colleges and universities. Before I begin, I want to say that while the information I'm providing is accurate, it may not apply in its entirety to your specific situation. So if you have questions or aren't sure, please contact us at info@globaltaxonline.net. Today I'm going to talk about FATCA and the FBAR. You may think these don't apply to you and you may not even know what I'm talking about, but hopefully soon you will, and you'll know whether or not you're compliant. FATCA is the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. The FBAR is a Foreign Bank Account Report. Both of these apply to you. FATCA was passed in order to principally catch drug dealers, money launderers, and terrorists who had money in overseas bank accounts, so that the U.S. government could be aware of, seize, and shut down those accounts. However, it applies more broadly because it applies to any U.S. taxpayer who has overseas assets that at any time during the year cumulatively total $10,000 or more. If you must file a report under FATCA, the report you're going to file is something called an FBAR, the Foreign Bank Account Report. But the Foreign Bank Account Report is something of a misnomer because it includes many more things than any personal foreign bank accounts you may have overseas. It also includes foreign bank accounts on which you have signature authority. For example, there are a number of people residing in the United States whose parents or grandparents still live overseas, and they may have signature authority on their parents' or grandparents' overseas bank accounts. These are reportable assets on your FBAR. In addition, if you have an overseas investment account, if you have an offshore insurance policy that has cash value, or if you participate in what the British call British retirement schemes, which are those plans whereby you pay in a fixed amount monthly over a period of 10 or 20 years, and at the end of a certain period of time you receive either a lump sum payment that includes growth of income or a lifetime annuity. All of these are reportable on the Foreign Bank Account Report. How do you know if you have a reporting requirement? It's not just that a single account or multiple accounts at a given time had $10,000 or more in them during the year. You have to look at each account separately and determine the high balance in that account at any time during the year. For example, if you formerly worked in China, had a banking account in China, and had $6,000 in that bank account, then closed that account when you went to work in the United Arab Emirates and opened an account in the UAE and put the same $6,000 in the bank, the high balance in your Chinese account during the year would be $6,000. The high balance in your UAE account during the year would be $6,000. That means you have a $12,000 reporting requirement, meaning you have to file an FBAR because the sum of the high totals exceeds $10,000. If you fail to report a bank account, the civil penalty is forfeiture of up to 50% of the value of the account for each year you failed to report that account, meaning that if you failed to report it for the past 3 years, you already potentially owe 150% of the balance in the account as a civil penalty. There are also criminal penalties that are up to $10,000 of fines and or 5 years in prison. Plus, this is a double header for the U.S. government. The FATCA legislation is enforced by FinCEN, which is part of the Treasury Department, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Other portions of the law are enforced by the Internal Revenue Service. A new form called Form 8938, introduced about 3 years ago, requires that if your assets exceed a certain level, a higher threshold than that for the FBAR report, you're required to file that form with your tax return. In addition, even if you have nominal earnings from your overseas accounts, you're required to report that income on your IRS tax return. So FinCEN can get you for a $10,000 fine and up to 5 years in prison if you fail to file your FBAR, and the IRS can get you for up to a fine of $10,000 and 5 years in prison if you don't properly report your foreign earned income and complete Form 8938 if required. So you could be facing a total of 10 years in prison and $20,000 in fines for simply not knowing you had to file a report. At the moment, There is an amnesty in effect. We don't know when that amnesty will end, and so if you haven't been compliant, we recommend you take advantage of it while it's still available. That amnesty program requires that you file 6 years worth of FBARs and amend any impacted U.S. IRS tax returns, and you then will be in the system without penalty, and they won't go back to earlier years, and you won't face either the civil forfeiture clause or the criminal penalties. As a matter of information, we also find taxpayers overseas every year who also haven't been filing their U.S. tax returns. And the Internal Revenue Service at the moment also has an amnesty program in effect, where if you file the past 3 years worth of tax returns, you're back in the system without penalty as well. Make sure that you're in compliance with FATCA because the penalties can be severe. We had a client in California who didn't know she had an annuity in Germany set up by her father years before. She ended up forfeiting the entire value of that account and still owed additional money. Don't let that happen to you. If you have questions, comments, please email us at info@globaltaxonline.net. That's info@, then all one word, globaltaxonline.net. Thank you for your time.